Welcome to the StockMentor.com studios. I am your stock mentor, Brian Johnson, and welcome to the Friday wrap-up video. If you just heard that, that is the bell. Closing bell for the Dow. Do an update, and we will see that you haven't changed too much. All right, so pretty much break even on the day. No real volatility at all coming into a 3-day weekend. At the end of the day, we saw some movement to the upside. Hard to know if that was buying or short covering. I tend to believe it was short covering. Coming into a 3-day weekend, a lot of people just do not want to hold, never knowing what's going to come out over the next few days. Going to enjoy their time and not stress about things. Start again on Tuesday, which is a great idea. It is a fantastic strategy, by the way, for all of you viewing out there. Not holding over the weekend, or not holding especially over a long weekend, doesn't make you anxious for futures to open on Bloomberg television the night before the markets open. If you're out of your positions, you can actually sit back, relax, kind of take it easy for a few days, which is what we should be doing over the 4th of July. All right, so here we see at the end of the day, we really went nowhere. Just some consolidation down here. This doesn't give us any indication of up or down. Notice how that when we did hit the 20-period moving average on the 60, what did we do? We turned around and went right back the other way. So very logical place up here to find some overhead resistance. And it did hold right there near that 97.50-ish area, one of the areas we had been talking about in previous videos. I'll do some work on it this weekend, and we'll take a better look at it and see if we've gotten anything. If we look at the dailies, we're going to see what? Same type of thing again. Notice how this blue line, I changed this blue line, I told you yesterday, but look how well it held again today. So I like it. I like it where it's at right now. Probably leave it there for a while. Notice how we got below it, dipped, and then came right back up to close just above it by the end of the day. Starting to see maybe the bulls dipping their toe in the water down here, but no real direction as of yet, as the markets for the entire week really just bled themselves to death. So a great week if you're a bear. If you're a bull, you got destroyed. You're probably still waiting for the bounce, which could not be coming. It's still very early to tell, but now that we're down below these levels, I got to tip my hat back to the bears. So a good week for the bears. This 20-day moving average holding very nicely before the drop to the downside. Now a slow grind to the downside, maybe a little bit more before we're done with all of it. NASDAQ on a 60 doing the same thing. Up, back down, and back up a little again, giving us a little sideways choppy action. Very difficult to trade the indices today unless you were very nimble, taking profits very quickly. Hitting the 20 on the 60-minute chart, also pulling back end of day. Daily time frame showing us the same type of look as what we had yesterday. Those hammer candles that we mentioned, I said, yeah, okay, they are to be watched, they are to be looked at, but unless we get confirmation, they're nothing more than another candle. They were at just the right place. It was almost too perfect. Almost too perfect. And it didn't work out today. Markets continued to kind of grind downwards before a little bounce, like I said, at the end of the day. But no confirmation quite yet. That doesn't mean that can't happen come next week or early next week. From a weekly, 1728, very curious to me to see that we did actually close below the 200-week moving average. Not a surprise, but it is kind of curious to me that we didn't make it back up and above. It's only about 6 points away, so I'm surprised the bulls didn't try to make a run at it, or at least hold it at the very end of the day. They made it. I mean, they were there. They couldn't quite hold it. So we'll see if that makes any difference coming into next week. SPX on a 60-minute also doing the same thing. 20 period, pop right back down. Everything looking the exact same way. Choppy, nothing but sideways action here coming into a 3-day weekend. Volume was really light today too, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was really, yeah, it was really light today. No real direction, bullish or bearish from the volume standpoint, nor were any of the market internals tipping their hats at all either. Just a very lethargic day. Here we are with that nice hammer candle that went nowhere today anyway. We'll see if things pick up when the big boys come back to work on Tuesday. From a weekly standpoint, look at that red candle. Bears win this week. So we've seen a couple of days down. We have now broken the 50 held there a couple of weeks, and this is actually a pretty major break on the SPX. That 1,000 mark is the next line in the sand, then 980-ish, 970-ish, and then 950 below that. We'll look at more of that this weekend. However, nothing giving me bullish intentions at this point. Now, maybe we get some short-term bounce type action, but I'm not convinced it's going to last longer term. Still a bear longer term. VIX also coming back down today, so we did see the last 2 days the VIX bleed out. What was interesting to note was what else happened. It was also interesting to note that the markets did not go up at all the last couple days. So, divergence, once again. To me, shows a very strong bearish trend. Really, the VIX has come back down and the markets did not go up? That isn't so good. That isn't what you want to see if you're a bull, that's for sure. You like to see the market sprint upwards anytime the VIX breathes to the downside. We did not see that this last week. Leaving us still with this huge, nasty-looking candle here. Certainly not a bullish-looking candle. Could be construed as a bearish candle from... But, you know, where it's at in the pattern, it's nothing to me. It's just another whatever candle. So, yes, this could lead us down next week. If the VIX continues down, maybe we do get that bounce in the markets. Way too early to tell. Remember, when we come back next week, we have a shortened week of trading. Things might be a little lethargic on Tuesday as people just kind of wander back into work from their weekend ventures. Okay, so looking at this down here, support, notice that we're back in the kind of yellow zone, as I would call it, on the VIX by the end of the week. Apple also seeing a drop of $1.54 today, but holding twice this little 253 area. Like that, if you're bullish. Hate it if you're bullish for the entire week. Apple took a wallop this week. Once it dropped here below the 200 period moving average, you can see it held, finally just said whatever, gave way, away it went. So very good intraday trading on Apple, not necessarily today, but for the week overall, you can see down, right back into where? Support. This blue line here is holding very nicely with this 240, 250, 253-ish range below it as well. Now we are clearly below the blue line. We had a low of 243.20, which was about 75 cents or so away from the 20-week moving average. 80 cents, whatever. Anyway, coming back into this this support down here, which is where you would expect to see it. Expect to see the support. Watch this next week. Any break below the 20-week, if you're long Apple, you might want to think about taking some profits at this point. Let me dim my phone here. This thing keeps screaming at me for no reason. All right, thank you. On to the FAS. 60-minute. Okay, chop. You can see it straight across. Really no real direction the last couple days. To start the month of July, most everything has gone just sideways. What is that? Consolidation. Things are waiting for the next move. What is it? Up or down? Well, people are going to want to believe their bias and think up just because we've been down so far. But until we get confirmation, we cannot make that assumption. We don't do that here. Not at my site. If you're looking for someone to share your bias, you might be at the wrong site. I'm going to do what the charts are going to tell me to do. And that's the way I trade. I'm not going to throw out a bunch of, everybody jump in short when I don't believe that that's the direction we're going to go next. FAS on a daily, you can see it down all week as well. See it falling right down here. Now, no real support, no real resistance to talk about. So this weekend will make for a very curious time in FAS and FAZ. There's really nothing here to give you, we're at support, or we're at resistance. There's nothing. We're in limbo right here. We're just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Here's that chop, but notice how we did stay above this overhead resistance area that we broke on FAZ, came back to retest, and then moved back up by the end of the week. Same type of action. Come back, test the 20 today, only to bounce right back up again. This is consolidation. As long as we stay above this area here, you swing traders are just fine. Okay, your stop needs to be back below this area here. Would not want to be long this stock if it got back below here. But as of right now, I'm not so sure that we're not in some sort of a 4-wave sideways, which means there could still be a 5-wave up. In this case, it would be a 5-wave down for the markets. I'm going to do a little bit more work on that and see if I can't get you a little bit more insight by the time this weekend hits. All right, that's it for today's video. I'll have another one out either Sunday or Monday because we have Monday off. I think I'd like to have her up and done sometime early this week and give you guys lots of time to take a look at the markets, set yourself up for next week, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July. Talk to you later. Bye.